Hey guys, this is basically my first video, so I just wanted to talk about some of the stuff I'm into, and I guess some of that is making board games. And I wanted to be a gamer so bad professionally to make them. I guess that I made or I made two portfolio presentations about some of the game stuff that I worked on, and yeah, I'm sure some of you that know a little bit better about making a creative portfolio could tell me why this is not how you present one, but whatever. I guess I got carried away or didn't really know what I was doing. But anyways, college didn't really end up working out, so um, these are kind of useless now. But I guess they're cool to go over, like the general idea of the games and stuff like that, and just a little bit of about like what I'm about, because there's some personal sections about my boring life or whatever. But um, yeah, this is basically Rock Smash Out. It's just like a game about cavemen beating the crap out of each other, and there's items and stuff like that. And I don't know. Here's the stuff about my life. Basically, I don't know. I got for the game when I was playing this stupid game, like the stupid game that the teacher made up in class. It was called a Grudge or something, and it's like everybody would have to guess like answers or whatever. If they got it right, they just remove a point from another team, and whoever ran out like died. So that's basically this game. Um, Except instead of answering questions, you just like step on tiles, and everybody goes around like a Monopoly board. And another thing was basically like, I started going to the strategy club because I like games and stuff, and all the games there were really confusing me. So I just wanted to make my own that anybody could play, and that didn't really it ended up being like the most complicated thing ever. But whatever. Yeah, and this portfolio isn't even about the first game. I made a second one that patched out like all the BS or most of it. So yeah, this one's a little bit more clean and put together. I like the look of it a lot more. Um, yeah, this on the right here is Crux Viscera, which is something you'll see more of because I'm working on turning it into a video game. But uh, you know, Rock Smash Out just PvP and this one's PvE, so I wanted to focus on doing both, I guess. Um, Actually, for the portfolio submission, I decided I forget what the heck they called it. It was like digital and analog. Like I wanted to include a board and a video game, so this one's about a video is about the board game. But anyway, yeah, this game is all about just item and character combinations, pretty much. And if any of you have played like I don't know, like synergy slot games like Isaac or something, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so this is the original board, and it looked really dumb, and the cards are really big, and they're bigger than the tiles, and I don't think I need to explain why that's a pain in the butt. And this slide basically just goes over some stuff that I had to fix, like the static tile layout. Probably like the smartest thing I came up for with this game is that if you look here, all the tiles are like modular, and the board is randomly generated every time. But if we go back here, I could imagine losing some points on this section because on the right are all the like. Sorry, I just want to say for like the credentials, I had to include everything that was like a part of playing the game. But it's like when you have a game that's entire identity thrives off of having like as much content as possible, like this. You get a problem where it's like how do I document all of this in an efficient manner? So my solution to that was to take 80 cards and take a picture of all of them so that you can't read any of them. But anyway, those are all the caveman cards that describe what they do. Because in the first game, you didn't even have cards for that. It was just like in a binder, and you just had to look it up or memorize what they did. It was really stupid. But playing this game as much as people did in strategy, they all knew anyway. But yeah, these are all the like caveman pieces, and you put them into like these colored slot things, and they move around the board to tell you what team they're on. Um, yeah, so like I said, the board is randomly generated, so that's why all these tiles are empty. But yeah, if anybody's a stickler for rules, check out the panel on the left because people would get into arguments all the time, like to the point where we can't really play the game unless I'm there in the game because it just gets so complicated and stupid that I have to be the arbiter to explain, like, no, this is what this rule intends or meant or something like that, which is, I don't know, pretty funny. I think the game was made less to be enjoyable from like an actual game perspective and more just like an absurdity perspective, where it's like just how out of control can this get? Yeah. So again, back to the documentation problem. Here's all the items in the game. Yeah, it's. So I don't know. Try to zoom in or whatever, but yeah, it's a lot. The shop items. These are the better ones. These ones are pretty strong. Chaos cards. Those basically just mess up the game. In the rule book, here it is. I guess if anybody wants to read the rules, but it's basically just you move in a circle and you kill everybody. Yeah, and these are what all the tiles do. Here's a video walkthrough that I'm probably not going to play, just because my friends are in it and stuff, and so am I. But if you look to the bottom, here's another point where I probably lost points because I don't really know why I thought to mention this, but in the video I accidentally included like a 3-item break that just like instantly wins the game. I don't know if the people at the university are like fans of balance or whatever, but that's not usually what people would consider a balance or whatever. And yeah, here's some other game modes. And yeah, just to describe, I guess, like the paradigm of the game. I added this thing called the Aleph mode, where basically like you like there were so many infinite item breaks that we decided to just add a game mode where like instead of like them ending the game, you just count them up and then reset your progress. So it's like, you know, whoever gets the most infinite item break points wins the game, I guess. And you know, looking at this too, I think another place I lost points is probably just how wall of text this is. But I do not know how to make a portfolio. Let's be honest. And then yeah, these are the credits, and you can see all the autistic references or whatever I had to put because they insisted that I include anything that I borrowed from an outside source. Anyways, this is the other part of the portfolio, which is on the actual video game. And again, please don't flame me too hard for my portfolio skills in the comments. But yeah, this is the video game part. This one, some of you have probably seen before. Anybody that's close to me has probably been forced to play test or whatever, just look at it or anything. But this one I kind of stopped working on, and I'll talk about that in a bit. But it's anyway. Background, the boring life stuff. So this is I don't know. Just talks about how like you know I just wanted to make a game about this little guy, and the process of actually like you know learning how to make a game, because you know I think that's something that's a very big barrier to a lot of people, because you know I hate to phrase it like, oh, it's the hardest thing ever, but like you know there's being an artist, which is like making visual art, and that's hard to get into. It's very competitive, and especially the AI and crap like that these days, you know. It's a pretty hard industry after it already was, but like something like this, it's like you need to be like if you're working solo, you need to be like a programmer, you need to be a sound designer, you need to be like a world builder, you need to be a visual artist, you need to be everything. And you know, a lot of people, you know, they can be however inspired, but they're probably lacking in at least one of those areas, or all of them. And then it's like, well, what do I do now? And for a while, it was definitely me. And I'm not saying that I'm like super well versed in any of those now. In fact, uh, this game had, and I submitted it with no sound, which is probably not very wise, but whatever. But you know, I'm also like I don't know. I'm not gonna you know vouch for my creative excellence here, but you know if you see it or you don't, then whatever. But you know, it's just I'm just saying like it's something. It's probably one of the hardest things to do on your own, like self learn. And yeah, so actually part of that process, I guess, was starting in Scratch. And as you can see on the right, it doesn't look very great, but you know I thought it was funny. Never got taken down, probably because nobody ever saw it. even though it definitely goes against their guidelines. But um, I don't know if you like somebody some random stranger left a comment on it that was very nice. But yeah, this slide is just talking about how much I hated school and stuff like that, and just doing everything all the time. Uh, and how like I don't know, this kind of like helped me out a bit. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like this kind of thing was very cool, but you know, school just made it very very hard, and I don't know. I guess as a warning to anybody out there, no matter what you do in school, like if you like, just don't go overboard, please. Just don't take a bunch of stupid BS classes that are super annoying and hard, and then you don't have time to like be yourself or anything like that. It's not worth it. Like I know it's like, oh, I can get like an edge to go to this college, and it's like, unless you're like super super smart, you'll end up in a fine enough college, and most degrees aren't that good these days anyway. Even if you do, so like it really doesn't matter. Just do something. Do something. Just try to find something else. Yeah, this is about actually getting the game. So if anybody wants to grab the link and look at it, I don't really care. I mean, it's cool, I guess. Um, yeah, little fun little manual I made for the game. Sorry, keyboard players. I'm not really a keyboard player. I've always been a console user, so the controls are pretty much built around that. And any PC controls like the PC controls that exist are horrible, probably. Yeah, this is just describing the keyboard controls. Another video walkthrough. Um, I don't know. I might post this one on its own because it doesn't really feature anything striking, like anything like oh, another person or something. And I think that might is at the end of it. Okay, yeah. Then those are the credits. So yeah, this is just describing all the stuff I didn't actually do because I'm a lazy bum, and I didn't want to reinvent the wheel on some of this stuff because I know it would just take me forever. But anyway, yeah, that's basically the games that I've made and submitted here. Besides Crux Viscera, that one doesn't really hasn't really gotten a lot of attention. I might also go into my art portfolio here. Anyways, yeah, my art portfolio here. This is the third part of what I submitted, and probably the final nail in the coffin because this is probably not necessary at all. But I don't know. I thought at the time it felt worth mentioning because both of the things I showcase are very cartoony. So, and not that this artwork isn't, but I just wanted to I guess showcase like more serious art. I guess kind of, but yeah, probably like the final nail in the coffin for me getting waitlisted here. But Xenochrist, it feels wrong to even call it a game or anything like that because it's just like a game world. But I don't know. I could go on about that forever. But yeah, Xenochrist. It's basically just about like these aliens that come to Earth and they pretend to mock up like the second coming of Christ to try to enslave humanity because the Xenos, I guess as they're called, they discover this fundamental force in the universe called that they kind of like nickname, I guess, Godhood, and basically just like influences like wave function collapse and all kinds of sciencey BS like that. And the idea is if you have a lot of it and if you have enough power to like electrically actuate it or whatever, you can kind of like influence like you know quantum uncertainties and stuff like that, and like basically will the universe to yourself. Um, like if any of you have heard of like the concept of like quantum immortality, it's basically saying like if you're going by like the many worlds interpretation of stuff like parallel universes happening, like if you were to die in a situation, there was a chance, and one of those many worlds you did succeed, and one of those you didn't. Basically, if you had enough godhood, you could kind of like influence that collapse into the one where you succeed. So it's like if you have enough of it, you can basically just like quantum tunnel and just do all kinds of like BS magic stuff because you're super strong. Anyways, they need a lot of power to actuate it, and it's like humanity somehow has like control over singularities, which are like the little crunchy things in the middle of black holes. Um, and that's basically like the only sufficient source of power to unlock its true potential. So they try to enslave humanity, but it doesn't really work. And basically, the rest of the game is just you playing as like this Xeno soldier who is kind of like made immortal because he got splashed with like some of the Xenochrist blood. Because he did actually have a lot of godhood, and some of that godhood helped him stay alive, but he's just like a tiny little head that you carry around with you, and you have to get the rest of his body parts to get the rest of his godhood. And now that you have access to singularities, you can actually actuate it properly and become super strong. But yeah, that's a little bit about the game. You're just kind of like an alien on like the human world, and everybody like persecutes you and tries to kill you and stuff like that. I don't know, probably some kind of a deep metaphor or whatever. I don't really know. But yeah, this guy's beacon basically humanity is controlled by like this big government called Gildania, or this I guess country, whatever you want to call it, Gildania, and this is like their public security robot hidden inside like basically their version of the Statue of Liberty, which is why it looks like that, because it basically is the statue of like I don't know, design influence or whatever. And again, all throughout these slides, it basically talks about design influences, which I felt necessary to include because of references that they were insisting I include. This guy basically, when the Xenochrist came, there was people that actually believed him, and they became the Marble Men because they like baptized themselves in his blood, but they turned into like stone, and they became immortal because like of the actual powers it had, and now they just want to like die, because they're just in constant like agony, because of their immortality and how they're just like stone statues now, so they just like wear black and they're just like these apostates, I guess. Yeah, some more design influences or whatever. Chaos Spine. This guy is like, this is a whole other conversation. Basically, quantum gods are like just beings that have a lot of godhood, and in the Xenochrist world, the moon is actually an egg, and humanity went there to go mine it out because it's an egg. I forget what the word for it is. It's like embolism or something. When you're in space and your blood boils, it's because you're in like a low pressure environment and your body can only maintain so much of that like pressure, and then it just like boils or whatever. So basically, because the moon is an egg, like there's like these high pressure pneumatics like keeping the environment under like a life sustaining pressure or whatever. So they're like super strong. Uh, yeah, if anybody's educated on how like pressure pneumatics works, you can tell me why that's wrong, but it's just exaggerated for fiction's sake. But anyways, humans like to actuate like their robots, like this guy with like fake artificial muscles. So when they found these ones, they're like, oh, these ones are super strong. So they started mining out the moon for these for like these fibers, and then they discovered that in the middle there's this quantum god fetus, but he's all messed up because he's malnourished because of them mining out the moon and depriving him of resources. So they try to like revive him and do like experiments and like create other quantum gods, but they get all messed up. Like this guy born Unside Out. Okay, yeah. Now we're off the deep end. So basically, quantum godhood was originally discovered by like these Xenos further back in time. It's a whole thing. Like Xenos and humans come from the same like progenitor species. But anyway, they discovered like godhood first, and they got infected with like this thing called like unanything, and basically like unanything is kind of like the semantic coming together of like any like the all the possible definitions of opposite of a single object. So it's like, if you wanted to take like red or something like that and say like, oh, what's the opposite of red? You could say blue or you could say green. I don't know. You might have a different answer, but like the idea is like the true unversion of red is all those different possibilities combined, and that would just be expressed by saying like, that's easy. That's unread. Um, and basically, it kind of like takes over your mind whenever you become like super hopeless or something like that, and you're only like with desires to like revert like reality to like its true state because you believe it's in like a false state. And basically the first quantum god broke open his rib cage and let out like on anything for the first time, basically unleashed it upon the universe because he reached that like asymptote. And it's kind of like like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like he reached that point and then released it, so it's like it kind of almost like went back in time to infect his mind to be able to be released in the first place. But anyway, there's singularities and then there's unsingularities, and these guys are just like super OP, like power scaling slop, because they're just like actual like their joints are actuated by black holes and crap like that, and they have purple blood and just like these unsingularity nonsense going on. um I don't know, this guy is cool. He's like a Xeno guy that stayed back on the home planet because there is like Xenos that didn't want to like go enslave humanity because they thought it was cruel, and like this guy's job is basically to kill all those defectors. But I really do like his design and stuff. Um, and then more design influences. This guy is just like power slop personified. He's got like Q anything, which is like some weird mixture of on anything and singularities. I forget, but I don't know. I think his design is a funny visual play because like the V on top of his head is meant to look like the graph of like the absolute of x, and it's supposed to be like raised above his head like like a power would, like an x like he's the base and that's the exponent. So it's meant to be like a visual play on his power is absolute. Haha, funny. Um, I don't know, but I liked his design enough to put it in here, but I think that's the end, except for this poster, which is basically a combination of 4 different game worlds. So the top is DSE Ray, which I talked about earlier. The bottom is Xenochrist, which is a lot of this on it. Like you can literally see him right here. This guy. On the right is Crux Viscera again, and on the left is some other Agent Endocide. It's this whole thing like it's basically like a dystopian future, or whatever, and like everybody has ethically invasive nanite like life support grids, but people really don't like living, so basically they pay you. Well, dying is illegal, so they have to pay you to go into their bodies and shut down the nanites so that they can rest peacefully. Basically, you're called a self hitman. And then the final boss, you have to go inside of your own body, like recursively or some BS like that. But yeah, that's basically some of my work. So thanks anybody for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one.